everybody. Dave Schmidt along with Matt Nestor and producer Tom Warner. Let's get right into our interview. Boys basketball and the favorite now, they have risen to the top. They played well. They played in a couple of holiday tournaments. They did have last night off, but they're playing really well. And that's our friend, Coach Mike Winters at Boylan. First of all, Coach, congratulations. A great start for your Titans this year.
Well, thanks so much, guys. Thanks for having me this morning, too.
You know, it's got to be almost kind of nice to, usually you don't like having a Friday night off, but you guys played a lot of basketball over the holidays there. How was it, kind of playing the back-to-back tournaments like that and getting a lot of games in kind of a short time frame?
Well, when you're winning, it's fun, so obviously you want to get back out and play again. It was just kind of strange having last night off. Kind of wish we would have played, but at the same time, I think we overdid it just a little bit, and got hit pretty hard that first day out of Pekin with about a 4-hour trip because of the weather and some other things. So a late night game and looked like we were tired there at Pekin, but found a way to fight through some really tough games too. So at the same time, I kind of think maybe we needed to create something difficult for our kids to kind of fight through, and in the long run, hopefully that'll be a positive.
And you were coming off of a big championship win against a really good Zion Benton team at Jacobs, and I know a lot of the Chicago media, that opened their eyes to Boylan basketball, so they were coming off of that, and that's hard to do, isn't it, Coach?
Yeah, Zion Benton's a good team, and, championship environment on Saturday night, and then you go to Monday night about 10:15 p.m. with about 30 people in the stands, and kind of loses its luster a little bit, but, you got to show up and you got to win those games, too, so hopefully, like we said, a learning experience for our kids, and, it came back pretty competitive after that.
The one thing you guys do have is a lot of depth, which can obviously help in those kind of situations. You guys play a lot of kids, but what do you learn? I mean, the one thing you can do when you push your team like that is you can kind of learn what they're made of, what they can do. What did you learn over that stretch about your team that maybe made you pretty happy for the rest of the year?
Well, we've got a lot of toughness. We came back that next day. We finished, got the kids back to the hotel just after midnight, that Monday night, and had to play at 2 o'clock. Against Peoria Central, who's a team very similar to Auburn, a lot of quickness, probably not quite the talent level. And we struggled. We were tired. We were down. We probably shouldn't have won the game. We came back. We sent it to a first overtime. We sent it to a second overtime. And you mentioned that depth. We got kids like Reed Roulette and Ronan Jansen, really, that stepped up and won us that game in double overtime. And, so that's a good example where it pays off. And we get out of there about 4:45. We go eat. We got to come back and play again at 8 o'clock against a Plainfield East team that's got a 6'7" post player that's going to Division I. And that was an ugly game. But again, our kids toughed it out, held them to 33 points. And probably not something that sit there and watch as a fan. Those games probably weren't very exciting. But as a coach, to see our kids battle through that stuff, I think it was really important for our program.
When you look back, Mike, a couple of years, did you see this group coming up and performing so well for you this year?
We really did, and I think the thing that's really made this group so much better is our seniors. The junior group coming up, we've had our eye on for a long time. We knew they were going to be awfully good. And obviously, Zach Cooper was up with us last year, and Angelo Seminario was up with us last year, and they kept winning games at the freshman and sophomore level without those two guys. So that was a big plus for us. And the big thing I'm really excited about, anything that's put us on the top, is the improvements our seniors have made. Sam Fairley is so much better, so much tougher. He's been a leader for us. He's played hard. Luke McDermott is probably the hardest working kid you're ever going to find. And, he's got a lot stronger this year. It's not that he didn't have the talent last year. He just didn't have the physical strength to do some of the things he's doing this year. And Hunter Deckman he's been our best player the last 2 weeks. He's just been outstanding for us. He just does everything, and it doesn't always show up in the box score, but he's a kid we just got to keep getting back out there because he makes our team so much better. So. And Sean Wisby's another senior. Has just been a great leader for us, and he's a kid that doesn't get a ton of time, but man, he's a great teammate, and he just shows everybody else how to do it.
I know your preference has always been, if and when you can, is to have a team that gets up and down the floor, plays fast. How much fun has it been this year to have just so many kids that can play? I mean, you're able to, change them 5 at a time. Doesn't seem like there's any drop-off, and I've even seen times where it seems like that, that second unit comes in and plays better than the first unit. How much fun is it just to have so much depth at your disposal?
Well, you nailed it. It's a lot of fun. It's something I've never had before, and I've been lucky to coach some really good teams and good players, and never had a collection like this before. And we don't really have a superstar. There's not that one kid that people are beating down the door for. We think Zach Cooper's going to be that kid, but he's still developing. And so it's a lot of fun. It's fun to see that second group work so hard, and then just somebody has that breakout game, and they deserve it. It's just a matter of when they get the opportunity to do it.
We're talking with Boylan head basketball coach Mike Winters. So you take a Friday night off, and then you get ready for a Martin Luther King tournament, a pretty good tournament over at Jefferson. That'll get you going for the rest of the Nick 10 season, too.
Yeah, boy, you mentioned toughness. We're going to find out how tough we are because we got 4 really tough teams. And, Coach Weber, one of my assistants, has been watching film on Bloomington and telling me how good they are. And they've got a really nice player. And, then obviously Rockford Lutheran trying to figure some things out. But they've had James Robinson gone for a little while there for an All-American football game. I think they're better than their record indicates. And then Monday, you get Peoria Emmanuel at 10:30 in the morning. There's a nice little wake-up call there for you. And 7:30, we come back and we play Geneva, who's, talent-wise not the same as the team that took 3rd or 4th in the state last year, but they're so well-coached. And you want to talk about a tough group of kids, that's it. And we got to kind of run the gauntlet there in a 48-hour period.
You guys have kind of established yourself in the conference this year, I think, as a clear favorite. What do you do to keep the kids motivated, I guess, going forward, knowing that at least going into every night, that you guys are probably going to be a pretty heavy favorite? And, so how do you keep them focused and moving forward?
Well, first of all, Auburn's right there.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going away, and they keep getting better and better. So there's that factor. But, we don't see them for another month or so. So it has been tough, and you got to kind of fight complacency. And I think we've got great kids who are not the kind of kids who easily get complacent, but they have a couple times here. I think it showed a little bit over the Christmas break when the stands weren't full, and you're playing those tournament atmosphere games. And but I tell you, to their credit, we've criticized them pretty heavily for that. We had the best practice of the year yesterday. The kids, it was one of the most competitive things I've ever been a part of, and they're just beating each other up, but they're coaching each other at the same time. One team coaching the other team and reminding kids they need to do this, they need to do that, and it's really fun.
You mentioned Auburn. I'm sure you guys are keeping an eye on them. I know you guys caught them early, as they're trying to work some new players in. Have you guys, had a chance to maybe see them, whether it's sending some scouts out and stuff, and are you seeing a team there that's coming together that maybe could give you guys some problems down the stretch?
I can't say that I've really seen them recently. We had that stretch where we had to go out and scout some teams we weren't familiar with over the Christmas break here, and that'll be a focus real soon for us here. We got to get through this Martin Luther King tournament next Saturday, and we've still got a couple weeks to get out and watch them play. But I say this all the time. I think young teams with talent are the teams that improve the most, just because they have a higher ceiling. They've got further to go from the starting point, but they've got that talent to do it with. So, sometimes those are the teams that give you headaches early on as a coach, but really bring you just a lot of joy, a lot of fun to coach late in the season and to watch them improve.
We're all waiting for tournament, but next month at this time we'll be getting really close. They had the rolling of the Peas, they call it, down in Bloomington for the state tournament. And, of course, you would, if you get that far, the state competition, you would play Morgan Park. And, we had Jack Gleason on. He's a big fan of Boylan, but he says Morgan Park's pretty good. Now, that's kind of exciting for your kids, isn't it? Something for them to kind of build for as they go through the rest of the year?
I think that's how you gotta build it as an opportunity, and we're gonna have to go through a good Peoria Emmanuel team a second time to even get to that point. So, it's one step at a time. There's tell you what, Woodstock Marion is really, really good, guys. If you get out and watch them play, and they'll be in our regional or sectional. So nothing's a done deal. Winning at Freeport is not easy if we end up there for the regional, and you just got to go one step at a time. But certainly it's fun to look ahead and see what could be, and to play the best. You don't get that opportunity every day, so it could be a lot of fun, and obviously it'll be a challenge.
I was going to say, some people, at the beginning of the year like to kind of poke fun about you guys dropping down to 3A instead of 4A and this and that, but you look around the state, and a lot of people think that a lot of the top teams, including yourself, maybe reside in 3A this year, so that's not going to be an easy gauntlet at all for you, is it?
No, absolutely not. This is probably the worst year you could drop down to 3A, and I'm looking at the polls and sitting them side by side, and I'm looking at all the teams in the 4A poll that, just looking at teams we played and beat this summer. We beat most of those teams this summer, and then you look at the 3A side, and like, man, those are the better teams this year. It hasn't worked that way very often. It's funny, Coach Goers, that when I think I was at Rock Falls when this thing went to 4 classes, and he said to me, we just bumped into each other, and he said to me, 3A could be tougher. Traditionally, a lot of those schools were 3A schools that were, when the split happened, the Peoria Emmanuels and those were 3A schools. So looking at it, it was, initially you kind of thought that might happen, but it just didn't. And, this year it's obviously playing out that way where 3A you're looking at elite teams. There's more elite teams in 3A this year.
One big thing that's a plus for Boylan High School, now I know you're really proud of it, you got the new back road center open, and you started practicing in there already, haven't you, some of your teams? How much is that going to help Boylan basketball in the future?
Oh, man, it's just a gorgeous facility, especially from a basketball standpoint. It's an all-wood facility, wood floor facility, and, it's just a beautiful, beautiful facility. We got in there this week for the first time, and our kids were like little kids. We really we did it Thursday because we knew it was the day after a game where it was going to be a light practice anyways, and our kids just wanted to be kids. They just wanted to run around and fire up half-court shots, and that's fine. It was fun. They deserve that. We've been waiting a long time for that facility.
One thing you kind of mentioned earlier is getting the chance to play Lutheran again here coming up. I know last year that was such a fun game, great crowd and things like that. Just from a fan standpoint, I think it was fun to see those two teams get together, and I think we're pretty lucky to see it again this year. Is that something that maybe you guys have discussed, or at least trying to find out whether it's in a tournament setting or you just play a regular season game against each other?
I think it's something we may talk about in the future. I think as long as we keep seeing each other in tournaments, I think, it's going to happen. If we were hosting Thanksgiving, we'd make sure it happened. We kind of knew when we saw that they were in at Jefferson and we were trying to get in that it was going to happen, just because it makes sense from a gate standpoint if you're trying to make money running the tournament. So right now there hasn't been any extra effort just because we kind of saw it coming. But, we'll see. Tom and I talk quite a bit. Our kids compete against each other in baseball and stuff like that, so we see each other all summer long. And I think as long as it's good for the area and for the fans, we'll keep trying to make it happen.
What's one thing Boylan has to improve at if you're going to reach your goals this year?
We got to stop people off the dribble a little better than we have, and it's tough. We've put them in a tough situation because we're out pressing. We go from a zone press to a man-to-man defense, which is tough. And sometimes you don't get the matchups you like or you need in that situation. But we got to do a better job of getting from the zone press to solid half-court man-to-man defense. That's something that's been a big emphasis for us. And nights where we've done it really, really well, and nights where we've been really disappointed in it. And but even sometimes we're giving up some easy baskets. That's kind of the byproduct of the press. Sometimes it's a risk-reward thing, and so far the reward has been far greater than the risk to this point.
I saw the Fairley girl, hit 6 threes the other night or something. Is that your guy's sister?
It is. They're twins.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Who's the better three-point shooter? That's what my question was going to be.
Well, I got to say, Doty made a big statement the other night, making 6 of them. So, it's funny because Sam came in the next day. He's like, I got to get her. I got to score 30. You know what? Let's just get a win. And we'll see. Competition going on there. Competition within the household is can be good sometimes. I don't know if mom and dad see it that way, but they're pushing each other, which is kind of cool to see.
And they're having a good year too. The girls are, so that's kind of fun at Boylan this year.
Oh, they are. Coach Baroni does a great job. He's so much fun to work with, and our girls play extremely hard as well. So I don't get the chance to see them as much as I'd like, but it's always fun to watch. I mean, right now they're doing it without arguably their best player. She's out with mono, so the Skiro girl. So that could be really good for them down the stretch.
Well, thanks, Mike, for taking time out. I know you had Friday night off. I knew you wanted to talk basketball, though, today, so we appreciate you being on, and good luck, and look forward to that Martin Luther King tournament.
Always ready to talk basketball, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Been talking to Mike Winters, the head coach at Boylan, and they're the team to beat. I changed my mind. That's it right now.
Yeah, they absolutely are the team to beat in this area. He's right. I do think Auburn is going to be there at the end. I don't know if they're going to go away or anything like that. But they are clearly established as the team to beat, and really one of the more fun teams we've seen over the last few years. I think obviously Auburn's had some really, really talented teams that were fun to watch. Certainly not taking anything away from them. You'd love to see this Boylan team match up against some of those Auburn teams because it's fun. It's not what you think of when you think of a traditionally really good Boylan team. Usually they come at you with size and things like that. Some timely shooting. This is just such a deep athletic team. They come at you in waves with speed. They do have size and things like that. It's a fun team to watch.
And, of course, Gordy Casper takes all the credit as an assistant coach.
We forgot to ask Coach Winters about that. I think that is probably where the credit goes is to Gordy Casper, as always, as it should. So,
you think he'll send us any money for saying that? I doubt it.
He never has before.
That's right.
I don't know why we keep saying it.
Hey, that's true. We're